Alright, so this one is asking us to find the sum of the first 8 terms of a geometric sequence if the first term is 2 and the common ratio is the square root of 2. And we're talking about the first 8 terms, so we can also write that n equals 8. So the sum to 8 terms is going to be our first term, which is 2, outside of 1 minus our ratio, which is the square root of 2 to the power of 8, on 1 minus the square root of 2. Now, the square root of 2 to the power of 8, I'll just write it out here. Oops, wrong one. Square root of 2 to the power of 8 is root 2 times root 2 times root 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just a quick reminder of how to calculate this or how to think about this. You don't have to write it out, but this is how you can think about it. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. So we end up with these pairs of 2, root 2 collapsing into 2's. And then it's 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So the square root of 2 to the power of 8 is 16. The reason I'm showing you that is because this is the type of question that could turn up on a non-calculated portion of a test at some point. So you just need to be comfortable with calculating things like root 2 to the power of 8. So that is 2 times 1 minus 16 on 1 minus root 2. So 1 minus 16 is negative 15, so it becomes negative 30. 2 times negative 15 is negative 30 on 1 minus root 2. If you left it here in its most simplified form, you'd probably lose a mark for not rationalizing the denominator. So this is probably 2 marks worth up to this point. To get the final mark in a question like this, you need to rationalize the denominator. And we multiply that by the conjugate surd, which is the same terms, 1 and root 2. The one we've already got is a minus, so this one is a plus. And what we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So then it becomes minus 30 minus 30 root 2, just by distributing the 30 onto the 1 and the root 2. And then by difference of 2 squares, factorization or expansion rather, the bottom becomes the first term squared, which is 1, minus the second term squared. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. So then that becomes negative 30 minus 30 root 2 on negative 1, which is 30 plus 30 root 2. And you could just leave it at that. That's fine.